In English, syllable stress is hugely important for communication. The word stress here means saying part of a word louder and holding the sound a little longer than other parts. For example, movie. I said moo a little louder and longer than V. If I had said movie, people probably would have had no idea what I was saying. In today's Ask a Teacher, we will tell you some rules of English word stress, a request from our reader, Larisha. Hello, Larisha. Thanks for asking. The good news is that English has a few word stress rules. The bad news is that English also breaks those rules from time to time. Still, the rules can act as useful guides. Before we start, you need to be familiar with syllable counting. If you are not, visit our Ask a Teacher page and read How to Count Syllables. For today, we will focus on two-syllable words. Okay, let's begin. Number 1. Most two-syllable nouns and adjectives stress the first syllable. Listen to some examples. The word meaning is not important. Quiet, enzyme, coffee, playdate, fussy, table. Some exceptions include asleep, machine, and hotel, which stress the second syllable. But don't try to memorize exceptions. You will get to know them from exposure and practice. Number 2, two-syllable words that end in ER or EN almost always stress the first syllable too. It does not matter whether the words are nouns, verbs, or adjectives. Have a listen. Smarter, father, writer, listen, open, spoken. Number 3, most two-syllable verbs and prepositions stress the second syllable. Take a listen. Within, enjoy, involve, around, escape, beneath. Again, there are some exceptions, like the verbs follow and cancel. Number 4, here's where it gets a little tricky. Some English words can be nouns or verbs, depending on stress. With stress on the first syllable, the following words act as nouns, and on the second syllable, they act as verbs. Record, record, present, present, produce, produce, suspect, suspect, desert, dessert. Again, there are exceptions. Some two-syllable words act as nouns or verbs with no change in stress, like answer, promise, visit, and reply. All in all, listening and speaking are the best ways to get comfortable with word stress in English. In time, your ear will tell you what sounds correct. And that's Ask a Teacher. I'm Alice Bryant. You may remember last week's program in which I talked about rules of English word stress for two-syllable words. If you missed that program, take a few minutes to read and listen to it first, and then join us here. This week, we continue talking about word stress based on a question from our reader, Larisha. Hi again, Larisha. Let's begin with three-syllable words. Three-syllable words that end in ER and LY often stress the first syllable. Listen to some examples. Readily, quietly, perfectly, manager, gardener, busier. Note these words are a mix of adverbs, adjectives, and nouns. But the part of speech is not important here. We are focused on word endings. Next, words ending in IC, TION, and SION usually have their stress on the second to last syllable. This is true for words with 3 or more syllables. Listen carefully. Word meaning is not important here. Embryonic, catatonic, organization, rendition, permission, indecision. Several other word endings decide word stress. They are AL, GY, CY, TY, and PHY. For these, the stress is on the third to last syllable. That sounds complex, but it's easier than you think. For example, here is a word you've probably heard often: photography. Listen to a few more. Entomology, democracy, physical, morbidity, autobiography. Keep in mind a few things as you learn and practice English word stress. First, some multi-syllable words have two stresses. We call them primary stress, the main, louder stress, and secondary stress, the lower, softer stress. Take the word alligator. It has 4 syllables. The primary stress is on the first syllable, but the third syllable does have a softer secondary stress. Second, in English, we stress only vowel sounds. We do not stress consonants. For instance, in the word photography, I stressed the second vowel, ah. I said it louder and longer than the other vowels. Listen again. Photography. The unstressed syllables are low, fast, and often unclear. And that brings us to our last point. It may feel strange to say some parts of a word lower, quicker, and less clear than other parts, but with practice, it will begin to feel more natural. And that's Ask a Teacher. I'm Alice Bryant.